Bienvenidos, damas y caballeros. Esta noche vamos a ver las peleas Noche UFC. Grasso contra Shevchenko 2. For those who don't understand Spanish, going over UFC fight Noche. Grasso versus Shevchenko 2, giving my thoughts and predictions on the entire card. Trying to get a sponsorship with Goya, el número uno producto de Mexico, Goya. So, yeah, overall, I didn't realize this wasn't in Mexico. I've been so out of the loop that it's actually in the T-Mobile Center in Las Vegas, Nevada. So we've got 11 bouts. Overall, we've got the main event being the rematch between Grasso and Shevchenko. With the whole Strickland shit going on, like this kind of snuck up on me. So I did my research on it, so I'll go over that. But before I do that, I did want to give you my thoughts on UFC 293 and the craziness that ensued. Starting with Kevin Jousset versus Kiefer Crosby. I initially picked Crosby. Crosby let me down. He kind of quit at the end. I like Crosby. I like what he can do, but, Jousset was bigger. I laid off of him after I saw them face off. I'm like, yeah, I'm not too convicted in either guy, nor am I that big of a fan of Crosby, a guy who lost to Charlie Leary, that I want to, take a shot on him. But I did bet 3 underdogs. The one I didn't bet was Gabriel Miranda versus Shane Young. Shane Young, he thought he could play us. He comes in here jacked with his blonde hair dye, not knowing that the best blonde hair dye is the one you get from Brazil, specifically from Chutabox, because that one actually has PEDs in the dye. Gabriel Miranda made it look really easy. Got the first ever submission on Shane Young. Ridiculously fucking impressive. I was like, whoa, Gabriel. I laid off of Gabe because, number one, I missed the line. He was decent plus money, but by the time I considered betting him, it was too late. My biggest issue with Gabriel in the past was that his tape doesn't really match what he can do. Watching him on Instagram, he looked incredibly motivated. He looked in really good shape. He's dropping back down to his actual weight class. I worried that if, say, he couldn't get the takedown, he's going to have issues down the line, but no issues here. Very happy for Gabriel Miranda. His English, because I made a contention point like, hey, his English is sounding good, meaning that he really wants to be in the UFC. He's putting in the work, and he sounded fantastic. There was fucking what's his name? Gilbert Burns looking like an idiot, like, oh, I'm here to translate. And then Gabriel Miranda has better English. I thought that was funny. Charles Radke with the promo of the night. Well, one of the promos of the night defeats Mike Mathiza. I bet Mike Blood Diamond. I had faith in him. And it's my fault. I should not have picked him. I should not have bet him. But realistically, he did everything I thought he was going to do in the sense of like defending the hands for the takedown, getting back up well. But he didn't do everything else I expected him to do, which would be disengage from the clinch and don't be an idiot. He was both. He was an idiot, and he kept engaging in the clinch. There was a moment where he hurt Radke, and he like bum rushed him, and he like overswang, and then he gave up his back, and Radke kind of like seatbelted him, and I'm like, are you serious? What the hell's going on with you, Mike? You suck. And then I realized, that whole camp kind of sucks. So far not looking good for, they're 0-2 for City Kickboxing. Charles Radke looked terrible. He had terrible fight IQ. He hurt Mike at one point, goes for a takedown, knows he can't get a takedown, continues to try to go for a takedown. There's a moment where he got hit in the nuts. He contests it as against the cage. He puts his hands up, and then Mike is just punching him. I'm like, are you serious, Charlie? It was a bad look. And then at the end, I'm like, this guy sucks. Cut them both. And he cuts that promo. I'm like, you're a funny guy. You can stay. Nasrat Haqparast versus Landon Quinones. I picked Nasrat. I thought he was going to win. I thought he was going to have some scary moments in there, and he actually did in the second round. Landon proved that he belongs in the UFC, whether we like it or not. Good low kicks. He looked really good, very sharp, very good kickboxing. It's just that he just was not ready for this high level of competition. I think he's going to run through a lot of guys in the UFC, and then that's going to build him up, get his confidence up, get his skill level up. The low kicks he landed on Nasrat, honest to God, would have stopped a lot of guys. But one thing that I liked about Nasrat in this fight was that he ate the leg kicks, and then he adjusted beautifully by crowding the shit out of Landon Quinones, not allowing him to throw the leg kicks, and essentially just beating him up inside boxing distance. And I'm like, wow, Nasrat he kind of took those leg kicks personally. Like, how fucking dare you? He's training at King's and such. So he's like, how dare you hurt me with leg kicks? Overall, good fight. Both these guys really deserved that fight of the night. They didn't get it. It is what it is. Jamie Malarkey defeats John McDessie. There's a lot of contention about the decision. I had money on Jamie. I'm biased towards Jamie. So as an actual judge, I'm not going to give you my opinion on it. But if you're interested in knowing what I think, whatever, hit me up somewhere. But I doubt you will. And I don't think no one gives a shit about this fight. It was really close either way. I wouldn't have been mad if John got the win. It would have been, it is what it is. But I was very high on Jamie. And he did everything beautifully up until, he stopped. And that's what really bugged me. Like he was returning kicks low. He was popping out the jab. He was doing everything, more volume, looking clean. Didn't really try to wrestle. Didn't really try to slow him down with body shots. He did everything poorly, but he did everything enough to my opinion, I thought he won. I thought he edged it out. What reasonings I have, I won't give you because whatever, it doesn't matter. But yeah, I thought Jamie won. All that matters is that he won, and he cashed out part of my 2-leg and 3-leg parlay. So I kept thinking that like Jamie might fight a little close here, but all that matters is that he wins, and then he won. Bet Chepe Mariscal, that's for damn sure. I bet him a quarter unit. So I lost a quarter unit on Mike Mathifa. I made it back up with Chepe Mariscal at plus money. I kept telling people, like, I don't know, man. Chepe is really good. Chepe is a good fighter, the much better fighter than Jack Jenkins. He's a dog in there. All he has to do is not get hurt, not get knocked out, and I think he can find a way to win. And the dude found a way to win. I hate to be the dick that says this, but who's breaking whose limbs now, motherfucker? Jack Jenkins was known for breaking dudes' legs, and he got his arm broken. Not to say that, like, oh, I'm happy about it. I'm actually devastated. I thought that was terrible. I thought it was like an awful, awful break. I feel bad. Like, I hope Jack comes back better than ever. I don't know how good he's going to come back after that. Not to say good in the skill set way, but like, that's a really fucked up arm injury. Then again, Joe Pyfer, I guess you can say he took B. Joe Pyfer seriously. You know what I'm saying? But Chepe looked good. Jack Jenkins, I think the issue was that he wasn't prepared for that kind of pressure and relentless pace from Chepe. And I really do wish the best for him. I really want him to come back. It's going to be a while since we see him, but Chepe, sky's the limit for him right now. I'm interested to see who they give him next, and hopefully people stop counting him out. Carlos Ulberg wrecked a lot of people's parlays, possibly a lot of people's nights. He submitted Da Un Jung somehow. It was initially ruled as a decision win, Da Un Jung. Then we found out he tapped, which I thought was funny because, like, looking at the belly down rear naked choke, it looked locked in, and then it almost looked like Carlos let it go. So I'm like, well, maybe he didn't tap. I don't know. But yeah, he did kind of everything. Not necessarily that I expected him to do. Like, I knew that Da Un Jung was going to kind of hang in there tough. I knew that he would have a game plan. I didn't realize how stupid the game plan would be, that it would be, let me get punched in the face by you until you get tired, and then in the last minute, I'll shoot for a takedown, which, Carlos got his legs chewed up. He got a little bit tired. It wasn't a terrible game plan for Da Un Jung. It's just that he executed it poorly. He didn't pressure him. He didn't push a pace against the cage. He didn't cut off the cage well. He just didn't throw. And it kind of proves to me that Carlos, he is very talented, but he's not unbeatable. So, yeah, the trauma that I had with Carlos Ulberg, I think a lot of people can share that with me now, because you expect him to do one thing, which would be TKO. He ends up getting a submission. He's unreliable in that sense. So you either take him inside the distance or just money line for Carlos Ulberg, because for a while I'd have my ending for my videos of fuck Ulberg, mainly because he could not finish the weakest chin in that light heavyweight division, Fabio Cherant. He just decisioned him and looked at him the whole time. Tyson Pedro. So I wanted to bet Tyson Pedro at plus money. I couldn't get that plus money. A lot of money was coming in on Anton Turkalj, but not enough for it to actually swing it completely to Tyson Pedro being a dog. I didn't like that. I didn't like the idea of betting Turkalj straight money line, because like Tyson Pedro's very good in that first round, regardless of what you think of the guy. He is, as I put him, prime Vitor Belfort, no known weakness in round number 1. And what did we see? We saw him stunt on his ass with that beautiful samurai sword celebration. I thought that was like, the motherfucker practiced that in the mirror for sure. He knew he wasn't going to lose. And I kept saying, like, just because Anton's got a good chin doesn't mean he can't get knocked out, especially by Tyson Pedro. Tyson found that chin and he kept getting at it. So yeah, Tyson again proves that he's a solid fighter, but for the love of God, wait to fade him until the second round. As for Anton, I don't think he's going to have another UFC fight. The other person that I had as a dog, Austin Lane, he I won't say much. He let me down. He didn't fight very intelligent. Tafa, props to him though. Like that shot that he landed, kind of like a Superman left hook, I believe. I don't remember, but yeah, he landed that from long distance. And Austin Lane, the longer guy with the better reach, just couldn't maintain that reach. And it is what it is. So I lost that one, but it was just a quarter unit. So my main money came in the next fight, Manel Kopp versus Felipe Dos Santos. I had like 4 units on Manel Kopp. At least that's what I tracked. I actually had way more on Manel Kopp. I had like 8 units on him. I kind of went ballistic and I put more money on him. But I had 4 units on him, tracked to win 1 unit. And then I had him on a parlay with Jamie Malarkey. I had 4 units on that to win like a little under 3 units. And then the unofficial 4 unit play on Manel Kopp. And then I had one more person on a 1 unit parlay with those 2 guys and the next person. But yeah, Kopp looked very good. Realistically, we didn't realize how tough Dos Santos was. Because of that, I keep saying, like, don't fade a guy's chin if we don't know how tough he is. He's never been knocked out. He probably will eventually, because the amount of punishment that Kopp gave him was ridiculous. Kopp dropped him a few times. Kopp didn't really attack the body as much as I really wanted him to. Felipe really hung in there tough. He threw more volume, but the harder, more impactful shots came from Manel Kopp. I had a 30-27 Kopp. You can tell some of those judges really didn't really like the way he treated Kai Kara France. And then Manel Kopp on the mic also won me over. He called the City Kickboxing team a bunch of Izzies. So moving on, Alexander Volkov defeats Tai Tuivasa. That's what I needed. Volkov to win to complete basically a perfect night. I had a couple underdog track bets, nothing serious, but my main actual monies needed Volkov to actually complete the trifecta on my parlays and my main bets. And he handled Tai Tuivasa kind of like I expected, but Tai keeps proving me wrong time and time again. The guy is incredibly tough. Like, even after he lost, he gets up, he raises the hand of Volkov. He's a good chap. He ain't going anywhere for sure. He's a incredibly dangerous fighter. The leg kicks were actually affecting Volkov later in like the second round, possibly even in the in the second round. But then Volkov, he obviously catches the kick, gets on top, and that's when I knew it's over, man. Like, whatever Volkov wants to do, he's going to get. There's no way Ty's going to survive this. Ty survives quite a bit. Like, his ground game on bottom is significantly improved, but then we did not expect an Ezekiel choke from Volkov. That's how much I didn't expect it. I went a little stupid there. I was like, oh shit, he's going for the Zeke. And then he gets the tap. I'm like, I don't know if he can get it, because like it's a very difficult technique to get, especially no gi. And he ends up just putting all his weight on him, and Ty had no choice. Like, he was getting smothered there. So props to Volkov. Great fight, though. Absolutely great fight. And then obviously the great day for America happened. Sean Strickland defeats Israel Adesanya. I didn't believe he could do it. I don't want to say that. I did believe he can do it, and I'll tell you why I did. Subconsciously, like, I didn't bet Izzy at all. I didn't want any part of Izzy. I had a moment there where I went back to the casino and I had 4 units. I'm like, what do I do with this money? Like, I want to bet Kopp and Izzy, but something told me, like, you know what? You know how good Sean is. He can pull up an upset. And if he wins, I'd rather win via him and not win in the sense of like, yeah, it's a moral victory. I lost money on Izzy, but Sean still won. I'm like, no. If Sean's going to win, I want us to fucking celebrate together. So I put more money on Kopp. So I knew how good Sean is. Sean is a very, very skilled fighter. I thought he was going to wrestle if he had a good shot to beat Izzy, not to outbox him for 5 fucking rounds. And I'm not going to be one of these guys that takes anything away from Sean. He fought a beautiful fight, great defense, great offense. Like, he was pressure. Like, everything that he did looked picture perfect, blocked all the head kicks. The way he handled the low kicks were fantastic. But I have to say, my criticism for Izzy, I'm not going to say, oh, he looked bad. I think Sean made him look bad. But realistically, he did not get off on those low kicks early. He should have attacked the body sooner. And I think that would have really changed the complexity of the fight, because in the first round, obviously, Sean drops him. And when he dropped them, I'm like, that confidence is going to go down, because he doesn't want to feel that power. He doesn't want to get embarrassed in his area. So he was a little bit more defensive and not offensive. So had Israel kind of stuck to a game plan of attacking the legs early, attacking the body, I think he would have had more success. Do I want that to happen, or did I want that to happen? Absolutely not. I wanted exactly what happened to happen. I freaked out when Sean won. I had the remote control in my hand, right, as I'm watching the fight, and I knew there's no fucking way they're gonna take this away from Sean. So I'm like air humping with the control like a pervert. I'm like, yeah, we did it, and then I accidentally hit like the wrong button and I turn off the TV. So I didn't hear them announce Sean was the winner, but I knew he was the winner. So I got up, I was freaking out, jumping on my girlfriend, saying, "We did it, we did it." It was fantastic. I'm extremely happy for Sean. He absolutely deserved it. And I'm not going to shit on Izzy, right? He was a great champion. I think the issue was that he underestimated Sean. I think a lot of people did. I did. He didn't have to wrestle like a pussy. I'll just say that. Very happy for Sean. I'm happy that he won the way he won. But let's get started with the Grasso versus Shevchenko card. And I'll be up front, man. I did as much research as I felt like doing, just because I didn't know much about this card. I didn't even realize it was in Vegas. I thought it was going to be in Mexico. So I'm like, oh, is the elevation going to be a play here? Perhaps I should look into who has bad gas tanks. I'm like, I'm a fucking idiot. I didn't realize it was in Vegas. But let's get started with the first fight of the night. And this is a good indicator of like where we're at here. There are some good fights here, but overall, we got stuff like here. Josephine Knutsson versus Mann. Mann, if you don't know, very short woman, 5 foot tall. She fought Bruna Brazil in the Contender Series, got knocked out by a head kick. Very tiny girl. She's not winning this fight. She got brought in on short notice here because, what's her name? The girl with the butterfly tattoo on her neck. God, very good. Lucindo. She pulled out. And now Josephine Knutsson, who just had a fight in the Contender Series, looked very good, just not impressive. I think she's going to either win by knockout late. She's very impressive. I'll say that. Knutsson, for being 6-0, is very skilled. Good clinch-wise, good defense, good offense, kickboxing-wise, trains at All-Stars. She's going to win this one, either decision or knockout, because she also has very sneaky high kicks. Mann, the sawed-off savage, pretty cool nickname. But she's been caught with that head kick before. I think Knutsson is a little bit more technical on the feet than Bruna Brazil, so I think she will catch her with a head kick in like a second or third round. Overall, though, even if she doesn't, I think that Knutsson can win this fight really by outpointing her on the feet. I give Mann props, but realistically, who's not going to take a shot on short notice in the UFC? So I'll go with Knutsson by second round TKO. Let me get my notes ready in case I need them. Yeah, I didn't even write much. I just said Mann, short and meh, lost to Brazil. Moving on, we've got Charlie the Cannibal Campbell versus the Executioner, Alex Reyes. Alex Reyes being the brother of Dominic Reyes, the Dominator? Dominator? No, that's Dominic. What's Reyes' fucking nickname? What is his nickname? Devastator. We've got the Executioner and the Devastator in the family. He's 36 years old for Alex Reyes. He hasn't fought in, 5 years since Mike Perry knocked him out on short notice. The guy is, I'll put it to you this way, before I rip into Charlie Campbell. Alex Reyes was, to my knowledge, a very good fighter, right? Black belt in jiu-jitsu. The guy's a scrapper, right? He fought at welterweight against Mike Perry, the African, and then he got devastatingly knocked out. That's when he had a mohawk, I believe, Perry, and he knocked him out with a knee. Reyes has been out. He's had injuries. He's had infections, I believe. Put him out for a good 5 years. The way I see it is that at one point this guy could hang with the top guys in that division at lightweight. Maybe the top 20, top 15. He might be able to potentially get to maybe number 11 at one point. The issue is that I feel as if the division has passed this guy, because what he can do is pretty much what everyone else can do. He had good jiu-jitsu, good ground and pound, good striking, but at this point, he's just too old. He's coming back after a long layoff, and he's fighting an absolute savage in Charlie Campbell. The guy has power in his hands. He's got good grappling. He's a big fellow. He trains at Serra-Longo, or what Longo Weidman. He's got a good camp behind him. But let me rip into Charlie Campbell. If you don't know, and as a lot of the, I guess in the past, as I mentioned, the trauma that I had with Olberg, I have trauma with Charlie Campbell. I max bet Charlie Campbell to beat that bum, Chris Duncan, in the Contender Series, where he had him hurt, he had him finished, and he goes in there with his hands just kind of lackadaisical and it gets clipped. Not even clipped. He gets he gets put out completely. He went from being a cannibal to an actual zombie because he was out cold. And I was like, are you absolutely kidding me? Right. That devastated me. And I'm like, if this guy ever makes it to the UFC, I'm going to fade the shit out of him. But I can't keep that anger with Charlie Campbell. The guy is a very solid fighter. He's very skilled. He's very physical. He seems to have like a very good nutrition plan as well, if that means anything to you. Like he seems to just be always on his grind. And that's kind of where I'm thinking this fight goes, is that Charlie Campbell knocks him out. And the reason I mentioned the age of Alex Reyes and the way that he's kind of being left behind by that division, at one point I think a guy like Alex Reyes would have been too much for a guy like Charlie Campbell. Just the overall skill, the technique. But these days, guys like Charlie Campbell, they're just too athletic. They've been doing this for way too long. They've got the wrestling chops. They got the jiu-jitsu chops. If Alex Reyes tries to take down Charlie Campbell to implement like his style, it's not really going to be as effective because Charlie's just going to be too strong. I think of guys like William Gomis, like he's not uber skilled, but he's so athletic that he gets away with a lot of stuff. And Charlie Campbell is a mixture of that athleticism, the power, the youth. I think he knocks him out in like the first 2 rounds. So I'm going to go round number 1. There is a way that Alex wins, and that is if he like takes an ass whooping, his chin survives, and he actually fires back and hits Charlie Campbell if he's overconfident. So there's a way Campbell loses. I've seen it. I don't think it's going to happen, though. I think he's going to pick apart Reyes and he's going to hurt him and finish him up with strikes on the ground. So I'll go with Charlie Campbell by first round knockout. I don't have the odds. I just realized that I got a little too eager to get this over with. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of this card. See if we got him. Not very much. I guess there's not much. Josephine Knutsson is minus 455 versus Marnik. Man, I'm not surprised there. Yeah, there's no odds that I can see here for these fights. Let me keep looking for you, boys. Charlie Campbell minus 400, Alex Reyes plus 300. So that kind of tells you everything you need to know. So you might have to take Charlie inside the distance if you want to parlay that, but I don't know if I feel comfortable. Moving on, we've got Tracy Cortez versus Jasmine Jasudavicus, and that's at flyweight. So I have odds here minus 130 for Cortez. Come back on Jasudavicus plus 110. Is that true? You can probably get her like Bovada has her plus 100. So this fight is fascinating to me because, we've got 2 grapplers. We've got one out of Fight Ready, one out of Niagara Top Team. Niagara Top Team having the stud in Canadian Mike Chandler. What the hell's his name? Mike Malott. Jasudavicus has been a girl that, she's 9-2. She's a tall girl for the division, 5'7", 68 inch reach. She's not super athletic, but I like what she brings to the table, which would be like relentlessness. She moves forward. She's not a quitter. Even when she's getting her ass beat, she's not going to quit on herself. And if you let her get on top of you, she can do some damage. Tracy Cortez, realistically, man, like she's a girl that I think fights very, very close with women she should not be fighting close with. Like she finds a way to make fights a lot closer than possible. Like her striking's not great. She went to a split decision with Justine Quiche. She went to a split decision, I believe, maybe not. It was a unanimous over Melissa Gatto, but Melissa had her moments in there. I like Jasudavicus, and I'll tell you why. I don't particularly have this uber good feeling that she's going to win, but not only is she plus money, so I have to go with the dog. Like I don't know if Tracy Cortez is psychologically there yet. She broke up with. I can't believe I'm saying this shit. Like I'm bringing up like, oh my god, they broke up. Maybe that's going to affect the way she wrestles. Broke up with Brian Ortega, right? And I I get a feeling she's just not quite ready to come back to the octagon. I feel like this is the moment where we see a really bad version of Tracy Cortez. I'm not seeing anything indicating she's training hard at the gym. I am seeing that from Jasmine Jasudavicus. Like, even if she's posting stupid videos, like she's at the gym, she's sweating, meaning that she just had a workout. She's a hard worker, man. Like, I do like that about Jasmine. As for Tracy, I just don't know, man. I saw her brother on the Contender Series lose to a guy that he shouldn't have lost to, right? Like, he was blasting him in the face with punches, and then he just kind of like he petered out. And I get a feeling that Tracy might have that same type of performance here, meaning that if she shoots in for a sloppy takedown, I think Jasmine is dangerous enough to try to scoop up the neck and either defend the takedown quite well, possibly reverse and get on top, because I don't really see a lot from Tracy Cortez off of her back. She can sweep, though. I'll give her that. Her jiu-jitsu isn't terrible, but with a girl the size of Jasudavicus, I think if she can get on top, she can win rounds on the feet. I think that Jasudavicus, although she's not the cleanest striker, she's going to have more success, more visual impact than Tracy, who's kind of like, you know, she fights with fucking eye extensions on, or whatever the hell you call them, eyelashes. I don't like Tracy right now, man. I really don't trust her. I think she definitely can find a win by just grappling, but I do think that Jasmine is just going to be a little too dangerous everywhere. And not in the sense of like, oh my God, Jasmine can knock her out or submit her with like a triangle choke. I just think that there's going to be the threat of danger, meaning shooting sloppy, goes for a guillotine choke. She probably doesn't get it, but it's still like, oh crap, maybe don't shoot like that. And then Jasmine takes advantage by moving forward, throwing punches, using her length. I'm going to go with Jasmine by decision. I just think she can get it done. I really do think she's got the ability to make a lot of fights close in the UFC, especially with girls who are wanting to grapple her and girls who want to strike her that are just elusive, like a certain who beat her in Natalia Silva, that beautiful woman. The girls like her are really going to give her a tough time because she is kind of slow, but she is relentless. So I'll give her the credit on this one. I'll go with Jasudavicus by a decision. Moving on, we've got Edgar Chairez versus my homeboy here. I love the kid, Daniel Lacerda Miojo. Miojo, plus 185. Come back on the Pitbull Edgar Chairez, a.k.a. Edgar, the Mexican Alex Poatan, minus 225. I hate to really bring this up, man, but, Lacerda's on a 4-fight losing streak. He's been finished in every single fight. I love this kid. I really do. I love what he can bring to the table. I think he's so skilled. I think he's so dynamic. He can not only knock you the fuck out, he can get you in a variety of different submissions. He's so aggressive. He's so much fun to watch. And I just think that the moment he learns how to be mature, I know he's 27. He should have learned this by now. But the moment he can put things together and slow down the fight, I think he's just going to blow a lot of guys out of the water. I think if he does lose this fight and he goes back to like the regionals, he's going to mess up a lot of guys if he's not himself already damaged goods. Because when I see this guy fight in the regionals, his previous fights before the UFC, the guy was phenomenal. I'm like, this guy's incredibly dangerous, but his gas tank management has always been the problem. And now he's fighting a tough guy with a good chin, good striking, good everything, really. It's just maybe the worst fight IQ. He went for a guillotine choke against Tyra multiple times, and then he just kind of flopped on his back. But that toughness is what I think is going to lead him to a second-round knockout. I hope I'm wrong. This is my this is my version for this week of Sean Strickland versus Izzy, but in this case, Daniel Lacerda is Izzy, but he's got a bad gas tank, and Edgar Chairez is Sean Strickland. I want Lacerda to win, but again, I can't bet the guy when I haven't seen those improvements. Realistically, I think the first round he's going to really attack the legs, the body. Edgar kind of does get his legs chewed up a bit. He does have good hands. He has good power, as I mentioned. Trains out of Entrim Gym. He's a solid dude, right? He's a very solid fighter. I think he does belong in the UFC. He's going to get some wins. I worry that he is going to knock out Daniel Lacerda, but what I'm wanting to see from Lacerda is take it slow, relax, attack the body, attack the legs, move out of the way, just have a very measured fight, take him down when you can, take his back, possibly submit him. Like, I think Daniel is the more dynamic, more explosive, overall better fighter than Edgar. It's just that Edgar is super tough. and he can really put it on dudes. And it really does remind me a little bit of Poatan, because he can take a beating, but he's got the power at this weight class at flyweight to hurt dudes. Good jab. If I remember correctly, he was fighting Clayton Carpenter. He was kind of piecing up Clayton on the feet. And I'm like, this guy's pretty good, especially because he's so tall. He's 5'7", 72-inch reach. But man, am I rooting for Lacerda. I've been rooting for this kid since he came into the UFC, and he lost to that Israel Adesanya back in the day, Jeff Molina. So I'll go with reluctantly Edgar Chairez to win this one by a second round knockout. But I am hoping I'm wrong. Next bout, we've got Roman Kopylov versus Josh Fremd. So Josh is plus 210. Come back on Kopylov minus 260. I will say I do think the fight, the odds really don't reflect. I think they should be a lot closer, like closer to minus 180 for Kopylov, because I do see Fremd giving him some issues early. But realistically, I'm going to go with Kopylov to win in the second or third round via TKO. And the reason for it, Kopylov, he needs to invest in the body of Josh Fremd. Josh Fremd is not a fast guy. I think Josh Fremd is not who we think he is. I don't think he truly does belong in the UFC. He's been getting wins in the UFC, but he had trouble with Jamie Pickett. He even had a little bit of trouble with Sadiq Ristumas. I think his size, he's 6'4", he's got a 76-inch reach, benefit him here in the sense that, like, if he does move forward, I think he can try to, like, clinch up with Kopylov, but Kopylov's going to be too fast. He's just much too fast for Josh Fremd. It is going to be Kopylov on the outside, skirting along, attacking the body. The moment Josh kind of moves in, I think Kopylov is going to counter well, and I do see Kopylov beating up the body of Josh Fremd. That big torso of the guy, I think he's going to slow him down even more, wear on the gas tank, and then finish him late, round number 2 or round number 3. Josh Fremd, he can go for takedowns. Kopylov's takedown defense has improved. Josh does have some, like, barbarian bitch tosses, some judo flips, but I just don't see Kopylov falling for that. I think inside the clinch, as long as he's responsible, he doesn't go too wild with the knees, definitely knee the body, I think he's going to slow down Josh Fremd, and he's going to give him another loss. So I'll go with Kopylov to win this one by a second round TKO. Let me make sure I don't have any other notes here. I guess I said threaten with uppercuts to kind of discourage the takedown, because, he's going to be beating his ass. So, yeah. What I wrote for Fremd during my early notes is that he sucks, but sometimes he doesn't suck. I'm like, yeah, that's pretty accurate. Moving on, let's see. We've got Lupi Godinez versus Elise Reed. Godinez minus 450 against Elise Reed, who is plus 340. Yeah, come on now. Like, can Godinez mess this up for you? Probably. She's done it in the past. But we know Elise Reed's problem, and that's the takedowns. This is I've heard a lot of takes about Lupi, right? She went from being, oh my God, this girl's going to be champion because the way she just out wrestles girls and just manhandles them, to what the hell's her problem? Why isn't she wrestling anymore? Why is she striking? And I've given her a lot of slack. I'm like, the loss to Angela Hill, well, Herb Dean gives me shit for this, but I'm like, the knees of Angela Hill were discouraging her from shooting, because when she would shoot in, Angela would kind of pump the knee, and, she probably didn't like that. She didn't like the body shots she was eating. And then when was it? Cynthia Calvillo. I'm like, yeah, she was kind of beating her up on the feet. She didn't really want to engage on the ground with the jiu-jitsu girl. I'm like, I get that. And then Emily Ducote, it's like, ooh, maybe Lupi's kind of an idiot here. She was winning, but then she kind of let Emily Ducote kind of back into the fight. And I'm like, I don't know if we can keep betting her at these huge odds. This is the fight. If she does not take down Elise Reed and beat the absolute shit out of her for the Mexican crowd, I'm assuming there's going to be Mexicans in the Apex, or sorry, not the Apex, but the T-Mobile Arena. If she doesn't do that, then I think we got to drop her, right? The boys got to drop Lupi. I love Lupi. I think she's an absolute savage. Like, she loves to fight. Easy on the eyes, but this is one of the easiest fights for her, where she can just take her down, do whatever she wants to Elise Reed. Elise Reed got submitted by Loma Lookboonmee. Okay? If Lupi can't knock her out on the ground or submit her, then I don't know what to do with her. Jinyu Frey was having success, and Jinyu Frey, although she's buff, she's not the same caliber of grappler and wrestler as Loopy. Loopy should take her down, take the back, get mount, pound her out. There can't be any other outcome. If that's not the outcome in the first 2 rounds, I give her 2 rounds, then she's dead to us. Adios, Lupita. Next bout, we've got Fernando Padilla. Is it opening up the main card? Yep, opening up the main card. Fernando El Valiente Padilla versus Kyle El Monster Nelson. Nelson plus 205. Come back on Padilla minus 250. Now, I thought about it. How does Kyle Nelson win? Because like I initially had my thought on how this was going to go. The initial thought was Padilla's a tall dude, 6'1", 76-inch reach. The only fight that Nelson has won as of late is beat a guy who was significantly smaller than him, and he was able to just time him properly and just kind of bully him around the cage a bit. And that would have been Blake Builder. That pains me because I lost quite a bit of money on Blake because I believed in him. Blake, when he would move in with his speed, Kyle really didn't do much other than just counter him and jab him up. And I'm like, okay, he's using his length well. Props to Kyle, right? He showed that he is a solid kickboxer, and he does like to grapple. He likes to push guys against the cage, take them down. He's a solid fighter. It's just that he's got his deficiencies, and that deficiency of these days would be kind of the chin and fighting top-level guys. Padilla, I had my issues with him. He can be hittable. I did fade him against Erosa. I thought, Erosa's just the much better version of him. It's just that Erosa's chin sucks, and Padilla handled him as you are supposed to handle Julian Erosa, which was, good for him. In this particular case, I do think that because Padilla is the bigger guy, Kyle Nelson's not going to have that kind of success. He will try to push Padilla against the cage, but I think Padilla's got the better chin. I think he can surprise Kyle Nelson because he has gotten a lot of good triangle chokes and arm bars off of his back. So his grappling's not mush. I just learned that term, by the way, mush. Shout out to you, boy, PayPal. So I'll go with Padilla to actually win this fight by a knockout. Kyle's been chinned before. I'm going to say in the second round. I do think that if Padilla does let his hands go, he is going to find the chin of Kyle Nelson eventually. Kyle is going to probably keep ducking under for takedowns. Padilla may give him up. We'll see. I do think that this is a winnable fight for Kyle Nelson, but if Padilla fights the way he should fight on Mexican Independence Day, he's going to fucking wreck this guy. So I'll go with Padilla by second round knockout. All right. Next bout, lightweight. Daniel Golden Boy Zellhuber versus Crystal Spartan Giagos. Minus 250 for Zellhuber, plus 205 for Giagos. We got another Extreme Couture guy here in Zellhuber. Now, I have to say off the bat, I like Zellhuber. I'm a fan of Zellhuber. I met Zellhuber at Kansas City. Took a picture with him. Surprised that I was Mexican. He was like, oh. He's like, Espanol? I'm like, oh, okay. He literally gave me that look. I'm like, oh. I asked him in Spanish, can I take a picture? And he's like, yeah, sure. And then I'm like, good luck in the future. And he's like, oh, okay. I like Zellhuber, but there's a lot to criticize about the guy. Christos Giagos, he's 33 years old. He's 5'1", or sorry, 5'1", 5'10". Just got a knockout over a really tough guy in Ricky Glenn, where he clipped him beautifully to the temple, and Ricky just kind of he froze up. Zellhuber should win this fight. I don't like the odds, though. Minus 250, I don't think that's accurate. It should be below minus 200. I think it's minus 180 territory where I would feel comfortable betting the guy. But minus 250 is if Zellhuber fights the way he should fight. And I don't know if I can trust him to do so. If he fights, how can I put it to you this way? I'll give it to you in Dragon Ball Z terms. Future Trunks is a badass. You want to be like Future Trunks. Like, oh, wow. But what we got right now is kind of early stages Trunks. Like, we know the potential of what Daniel Zellhuber can do. We've seen it. He can do it, but he's not there yet where he can just do it all. I hate that about the guy. Like, when I see him do everything that he can do, meaning he can out grapple guys, good cardio, good pace, good kicks, he moves forward, he lets his hands go. His defense can be a little suspect for damn sure. Like, what was it? Delando clipped him a little too much. He made that fight a little too close for my liking because I had a max bet. So I made a good amount of money on Zellhuber, which was like around minus 130 territory, I believe. It was really close. So I'm like, yeah, I feel super comfortable betting Daniel at that range. and then he hurt Lando early. But yeah, Lando was landing a lot of shots. My hope is that training at Extreme, definitely training with Eric Nixick, is going to finally get him fully comfortable in the UFC cage, where he's like, you know what, I'm better than these guys. I guess because he's 24 years old, he still might feel those like, I don't know if I'm quite ready yet, but like, dude, you're fucking ready. I've seen you fight, and when you let everything flow, you are amazing. It's just that sometimes he kind of he shows up a little bit, not physically like that, because he doesn't do that. He gets hit too much. He shows up inside, and I'm like, dude, I need that confidence from you. And if that confident Zellhuber comes out here, he's going to absolutely destroy Giagos, because I think he's just going to be too fast. He's going to whip to the body. There's a thing that I noticed in his last fight for Zellhuber, that where he's throwing kicks, kind of like like front kicks, but they're not executed well. It's almost like they're not meant to hurt the opponent. They're meant to discourage them from moving forward. But then he started throwing those teeps to the body, and the way he throws the teeps is the way he should be throwing those like front kicks. I see that, and it gives me the impression, like, I don't know if he's fully confident in himself, but when he lets those teep kicks go, if he does that to Giagos, he's gonna sap the energy and make Giagos a punching bag. So if he does everything correctly, that minus 250 is gonna look fantastic. I just don't feel comfortable quite yet. Once he does that, I'm all aboard, right? Like I like Zellhuber. I think he's got the good moniker as well. He is the golden boy, but I just cannot afford to lose money on the guy if he does show up again and decides to, fight like it's Trey Ogden. Christos has power. Zellhuber has been hit. He's not been hurt, but Giagos does have the crazy power in the first round to sneak up on Zellhuber. But I am going to go with Zellhuber to get this knockout in the first round. I think if Giagos comes out here aggressive, Zellhuber is going to crack him and beat his ass. So I am hoping that with the champion in there, Sean Strickland calls him a little Mexican pussy. He's like, I'll show you, Sean. I'll show you. And he goes out there and just utterly destroys Christos Giagos. That's what I'm expecting. But again, I'm not going to touch it. But I'm telling you, this kid has so much potential. Absolutely so much potential. Just he has to believe it. Next bout, we've got Raul Rosas versus Terrence Mitchell. Rosas, El Niño Problema, is minus 550. Come back on Tear Bear. I really like that nickname. How sweet, the Tear Bear. Plus 400. I'm rooting for Tear Bear here. I like Tear Bear. Terrence Mitchell. He's going to get submitted, though. A lot of people, including myself, wanted to see Raul Rosas lose, humble the bitch. He got humbled. That's going to be the best thing for him. He lost to a very good fighter in Christian Rodriguez, so there's no real shame in that. It's just we all jumped on him because he was acting like a little bitch, and he deserved it. But right now, after his first loss, this is a sink or swim moment, and I think he's going to 100% swim, because all he has to do in this fight is do exactly what he used to do in the past. I don't want to see him go out there and try to prove that he's got great cardio by, reserving himself. Motherfucker, go out there, take his back and choke him out. Terrence Mitchell, he's not the best grappler. I think he's going to get manhandled. Like Cameron Simon was able to outgrapple Terrence Mitchell. Raul Rosas is he's a super freak athlete. It's kind of funny, like God took away his speaking ability for the body to get like jacked and super good. So I think Raul Rosas is going to come out here and look every bit of the minus 550. He's not going to get hit. He's just going to take him down. He's going to slam him, take his back, and choke him out. If he doesn't do that, then, kick him out of the UFC. Fuck this kid. Moving on, we've got Kevin Trailblazer Holland versus Jack Della Maddalena. Now, the odds on this one are pretty spot on. I get a they're a pick, a minus 115 for Holland, come back on Jack Della minus 105. And I have my opinions on this one and the main event. So I kept thinking about it. I'm like, how does this fight play out if I'm either guy? So I'm thinking if Kevin Holland wants to win, the best way to win here is obviously use your reach, 81-inch reach. He's also going to be quite taller than Jack Della. He's 6'3" compared to the 5'11", and he's got a very long reach. 73 inches for Jack, 81 for Kevin. So use the reach effectively. Keep him at your jab distance. Throw that beautiful right hand. because when that right hand connects, it is devastating. Doesn't put everyone out, but it does put a majority of people out. Also, grapple and make sure you take the back of Jack Della Maddalena. That's the key thing. Don't try to whip him down, try to get a front choke, because Jack's got some interesting front choke escapes and good defense with that. Front chokes and like arm triangle chokes. Jack's a tough guy. Like we've seen him in these positions in the past. Some people consider that a negative. I don't consider that a negative, right? Yes, he can get put in a submission, but it's not how you end up there. It's how you react to it. And he reacts like a champion. Like he does not allow himself to panic. He has the good defense. He creates enough space to the point that the other guys either burn out their arms and give up, and or he escapes and then he beats the shit out of them. But yeah, if I'm Kevin, key things, obviously keep him at distance, kick him, try to take his back and submit him. If I'm Jack Della, my thing is I got to get through a lot of reach. I just saw Sean Strickland beat the greatest reach fighter of all time in Israel Adesanya by pressuring the motherfucker. So Jack has to pressure intelligently. His hands are always in the right spot. He doesn't eat a whole ton of punches. Another thing is I know Kevin Holland's hands have been broken multiple times. So I'd be tempting that motherfucker to hit me in the top of the skull. So I'd be like coming in like bink, hoping to hear the crunch. At that point, attack the body, slow down Kevin Holland, and counter him effectively. Kevin doesn't really use his reach all that great, but when he does keep you at distance, he can fire that right hand and really put dudes out. But I do believe that Jack Dill is just too much of a good striker. He's just fantastic with the boxing. I think he's going to have a field day with Kevin Holland. He's going to have to go through a lot of fire early, but the moment he starts ripping to the body, into the liver, Kevin will slow down and he's going to hit Kevin hard. They both have good chins. Kevin Holland can take a punch, but after he gets beat up a bit, I don't think he's going to be the same fighter from round to round. And Jack Della, for me, I think he's very consistent. He looked suspect, if you will, in his last fight against Basil Hafez, but realistically, I think Hafez, he's a damn good fighter. Absolutely strong beast of a man. And some might say, yeah, I think Hafez won that fight. He didn't win that fight. He got beat up. All he did was kind of hold on to Jack Della, mostly because Jack Della kept spamming that guillotine. And it's not really Jack's fault. I do think had it been any other fighter, the way he had damaged that guy, he would have gotten that choke and it would have been like, oh, fucking Jack Della's the man. He can do it all. But Hafez, he did everything beautiful. Like it's kind of like had he been knocked out cold and then he goes for the choke to try to get a submission, Hafez's body just goes into autopilot and goes to the other side to not get submitted. I'm like, damn, this guy's fucking got it. Good chin. Even when he was tired, he kept throwing leather. But yeah, Jack beat the shit out of him. And I thought it was a good showing, and it was like a good moment for Jack because we get to get him at minus 105 opposed to like minus 500. I think Jack's going to win this one by a decision. I think he's going to be the better, more impactful striker. I think he's going to probably have a few moments in there where it's going to be hairy because Kevin Holland's not a joke. Kevin Holland's a very good fighter, but comparing both of these guys, Kevin Holland makes way more mistakes. I think he's a little bit more fragile. And I think there's a very intelligent way to beat Kevin Holland. Like I go back and watch the Wonder Boy fight. Wonder Boy was attacking him and landing hands on him. Very close. He would counter him effectively. And Jack Della is a much better boxer than clearly Wonder Boy. Yes, he doesn't have the reach with the kicks for that safe distance, but I think he's got the movement and the effective head movement and body work to really confuse Kevin Holland to the point where he's just going to be swinging. He's going to be throwing that right hand. He's going to pull back and then counter with the left. I think Jack Della is going to decision the shit out of Kevin Holland. I think it's going to be a great fight, probably fight of the night. I think if Jack Della gets hit, he may go down for the first time, like as in get dropped, where Kevin can like try to take him down at that point, try to take his back. So I do think it's going to be a fantastic fight, but I'll give it to Jack Della 29-28, where he potentially wins the first round. He wins the second round, but has a really interesting moment. And then the third round, I think he wins a majority of it. But Kevin Holland has a good moment where Jack basically survives, but not in the sense of like he's dazed or he's getting choked out, but like similar to like what the hell's his name? That Irish zombie that fought recently that doesn't belong to the UFC. versus that short black dude, the last ninja. Similar to that, if you guys remember what I'm talking about. What the hell are the names? They just fought not too long ago. Why can't I remember their names? Whatever. But yeah, in the sense of like, oh my god, he nearly got him out of there, even though Jack's perfectly fine. He's just kind of like is skirting along the way not to get hit with a long range weapon. So again, I'll go with Jack Della by a decision. I don't think Kevin's gonna go down after all the punishment he's gonna take, unless he quits on the stool. I don't really see that happening in a 3-round fight. So I'll go with Jack Della decision. Next bout, main event of the evening, the rematch, Alexander Grasso versus Valentina Shevchenko the second here. We've got Bullet, Shevchenko minus 160, comeback on Alexa Grasso is plus 135. I have my first bet of the night on one of these ladies, and I will tell you. I'll explain in the sense that before I watched tape on these ladies, I had a general idea of how I thought the fight was going to go. I remember specifically Bullet Shevchenko winning rounds, and I remember watching the fight thinking, yeah, Bullet just going to coast to a decision. I don't think she's going to finish Grasso. I just think that she's going to rinse and repeat, win off a decision, and then we'll talk about how she's the greatest and blah, blah, blah. And then obviously what happened to her happened. Now, after watching tape, I was like, okay, maybe that's not exactly what happened. Like, my initial thought was Alexa Grasso was not having a whole ton of success. And that's kind of what's crazy about your memory. Like you remember certain things a certain way. You have emotions that then trigger memories, but it's not necessarily the clearest picture. What I saw between these two was Alexa Grasso was having a lot of success on the feet, but her takedown defense was not up to par. She kept getting taken down. She's a little too eager. Boxing wise, she was kind of piecing up Valentina, making her uncomfortable, landing those shots, the jab, the right hand. She won the first round. And then after that, Valentina was able to basically outmuscle Grasso, getting takedowns and just kind of controlling the fight that way. After watching tape, kind of getting situated and actually seeing what was happening, I've come to the conclusion that it is going to be Alexa Grasso keeping her title. I've already bet Alexa Grasso at the plus 135. I put a unit on her, and I'll tell you exactly why and how I came to that decision. Valentina Shevchenko did not look great in that fight. My memory served me wrong. I thought she was looking good. She did not look good. I thought Alexa Grasso was not necessarily having the best time, mainly because she was getting out grappled. So I was like, man, she's not ready yet. Like she's making these mistakes. What I came down to was that Alexa Grasso can fix her takedown defense. Alexa Grasso can work on her get-ups. Alexa Grasso can work on not being too aggressive and maintaining proper distance where she can land her strikes and then make Valentina uncomfortable. I don't think Valentina can get over that feeling of getting popped in the face and being made to be uncomfortable. She likes to keep the distance. And if Alexa Grasso continues to move forward, walking her down, because her boxing's significantly better than Valentina's. Valentina primarily uses her kicks at range, and she's great, and she does have good hands, but the main weapon is the kick followed by the hands, but her hands are very looping. She doesn't really throw a whole ton of straight strikes. Alexa's going to get her covered there with the jab, and just her overall boxing is just superior, period. So make her uncomfortable, and then when she tries to shoot, at that point is when you make sure you don't get taken down, don't go for any guillotines, and keep putting that pressure, keep making her uncomfortable. That fourth round where Valentina gets choked by Alexa, and we saw how good Alexa's grappling is. The way she took her back was beautiful. The way she sunk in the choke was fantastic. I believe she had the gable grip at one point, like this, choking the shit out of her, and then she slowly tucks the hand under the chin, maintaining it, and she had the neck crank in. I was like, damn, Alexa's come a long way after seeing that. But what had happened in that fight was Alexa was pressuring. Valentina did not feel comfortable where she shot for a takedown. Alexa stuffed that takedown at that point. And this was 2 rounds to 1 in the fourth round, going to Valentina. So it was still anyone's fight. It was just Alexa keeps getting taken down, rinse and repeat. Shevchenko's going to win. She stuffs the takedown. At that point, Valentina couldn't get a takedown. She's getting pressured. She's still doing well, but she still didn't like that pressure. So what does she do? A spinning back kick. She goes back to the kicks, back to the well, back to the bad things she's been doing in the past that had been working to other girls who are not at that level, but Alexa's at that level. Talia Santos is at that level. Like the head and arm throw that she did against Talia Santos over and over works on any other bum, but these girls are like, you ain't playing that shit with me. Like, who do you think you are? She got taken down off of that. And that's where the issue is. Valentina keeps going to the well with these bad techniques, and that's what got her in trouble. But it wasn't Valentina making a mistake. It's Alexa Grasso forcing her to make that mistake. And I think that's going to be what's the deciding factor in this fight. I think Alexa Grasso is going to look better. She's felt her powered. She knows what her game plan is. She knows she cannot box with her. Valentina's boxing is not going to be up to snuff to Alexa. She's not going to be as fast. Her jiu-jitsu is not going to be better. All she can really do is put on her wrestling shoes here. If she can out-wrestle Alexa Grasso and you, right, she can dominate her for as many rounds as she needs to without getting submitted to win a decision, because I don't think she's going to knock out Alexa. I don't think she's going to finish her. Alexa's not going to go out that way, especially on Mexican Independence Day. You know she's training a lot harder. She's going to be training her takedown defense. She's going to train her jiu-jitsu off of her back, get-ups, pressure. She looks in great shape. She looks ready to go 5 rounds. The younger girl here is going to win mainly by that pressure, and I think that because Valentina is going to be too afraid to do anything that might potentially put her at risk, although those risky situations, those risky techniques, like maybe a spinning back kick or some shit like that, at range, away from the cage, might actually help her. I feel like she's going to be too afraid to do so, where Alexa just kind of piece her up, and then she'll go for a takedown, and that's where I think Alexa might get on top, do some damage, and I think Shevchenko might survive to a decision. I am rooting for Alexa Grasso. Like, I think Valentina's been great. I think she served her purpose at this point. Like, you can't be champion forever. She is getting older. I just think the way I've been seeing her fight as of late is kind of the telltale sign that she's ready to make the graceful exit, or maybe even a move back up to 135, because like she's very good. It's just, again, she's not fighting the scrubs of the division. She's fighting girls that can beat her. And if she relies on these things that she used to do in the past to beat, the Lauren Murphys of the world, she's going to get in trouble. And if she does do something like that out of instinct, like a head and arm throw, Alexa might pop out that head, take the back, and choke her out again. So I like Alexa Grasso at this money. I do think, like, for example, myself, with my bad perception of that original fight, I think that's why the line is the way it is. I do think that Alexa should be like minus 120, just because not only did she dethrone the champion, she finished the champion, she made her uncomfortable. I don't know if people kind of saw it the way I saw it. So I am interested in on what you guys think on this particular fight. If you see something different, because that's kind of how I interpreted it when I was looking at it as like a analytical perspective instead of like a fan. As a fan, I'm like, oh, Alexa can't fucking get up. Valentina's going to win again. When I'm viewing it with actual, like, I guess glasses this time, like paying attention, I'm like, oh shit, like Valentina is acting weird. She's looking slower. She's not comfortable. Like Alexa's just moving forward. And then when Alexa would let those hands go, you would hear those pops. So that's kind of where I'm at. So yeah, definitely, if you want to leave me a comment as to what you think about this main event, I am interested in your thoughts on this one. So let me know in the comments below. As for everything else, how did your bets go? Hope to God you didn't bet Izzy on all your parlays for sure, man. Because like I almost did that. I almost bet Izzy, and I really would have bit me in the ass. So I'm happy for Sean. I'm really interested in this main event for sure. These two co-main and main event for Noche UFC. I'm very excited for it, but again, like I don't really see a whole ton of value on this card. So much so that I really even completely forgot that they were fighting. It kind of sucks that the UFC hasn't really done a lot of marketing for this fight. I think Alexa Grasso, she's cute, Mexican. She's got it all. You got to promote her a little bit more. What was it called? Team Lobo? Lobo Team. Yeah, it just kind of sucks that her teammate absolutely shit the bag. in that fight with what's her name, Nunes. But yeah, Alexa Grasso is a much better fighter between the two, so I'm happy to see her at top and hopefully seeing her retain the title. But yeah, Johnny Tiger Bomb MMA, like, sure, whatever. Join Discord if you're interested in a bunch of shit talk from a bunch of dumb guys, and or join my Twitter if you want to see a lot of shit talk from me, one single dumb guy. Once again, Johnny Tiger Bomb MMA. Catch you next week.